Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to tell you about all of this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But if we're going to wind down our weekend, of course we have to start that out with some wine. So we're gonna jump in and see what wine we're drinking today. It's a Tempranillo and it's called La Infameta. And it is actually based on a story about a woman who was a nurse. It's really cool. I just read the back of the bottle. She was a woman who was known like Isabel the Catholic, the nurse, and she was like somebody who was in Portugal during the war, and anyway they named this wine after her. And it's got supposed to be like slight barrel aging. It's supposed to be, obviously Tempranillo grapes. It says nothing of what kind of flavors are in there, which is always kind of fun because we get to like experience it a little bit raw. So let's see. It smells like a Tempranillo. Matt, you always smell things better than me.
Oak.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
Nice bright flavor.
Mm-hmm. It's also, I don't know if that's cherry in there. Kind of has a little bit of a cherry flavor.
Yeah.
But it's very nice. It's very good. And you did the research on it. This says it's made from the Toro grapes. And I know you studied that at one point with your wine studies. What's the difference in those kinds of grapes? Do you remember?
Toro is from the Toro region of Spain rather than the Rioja region.
Okay. That's the difference. That's what kind of Tempranillo it is, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. And where is the Toro region? South Spain or north? Do you know?
I think it's the middle, and I think north is Rioja.
Okay. Right. Cool.
But, yeah, Toro they do it by region there.
Okay.
Kind of like, Côtes d'Arôme is.
And Bordeaux and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
The grapes are different, but that's the region of France that they're from, whereas Toro is the region of Spain.
Sweet. Yeah. And
it is kind of sweet.
It is a little bit, yeah.
There's a sweetness to it.
A little. It's that cherry flavor. But yeah, we'll be drinking that throughout. And you know what? I kind of want somebody to make a comic about this nurse. It says, let me bring it back over here. Because it says it was 1476 at the Battle of Toro against Alfonso V of Portugal. This is like the birth of Spanish health. Thanks to Isabel the Catholic, who's known as the nurse, she decided that 6 tents to treat wounded soldiers should be installed, as well as the red wine dosification to comfort them. And so this wine is, like I said, it's made in her honor, but I kind of want to see this comic of this nurse that, saved all the people and kind of started Spanish health. That would be a really cool story. So if you're out there and you make comics, here you go, make one, and then we know what wine to pair with it automatically, which would be really cool to be like, hey, there's a wine that pairs perfectly with this book. You should drink it and enjoy it on a nice Sunday evening. Speaking of things to enjoy, we had a lot of fun here at Bat City this week. Oh my gosh, we had we had Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night. We had manga meetup. We had a bunch of cool, exciting new books come out, which we're going to talk about in a second. But we had a lot of fun. I even had fun today. I was on Near Mint's podcast to talk about some of the best books of the year. And of course, you're going to get to hear all about, in detail, all the books I loved this year when we do the Batastic Awards at the end of the year, beginning of the next year, probably the beginning of the year, so that we have time to keep all of the books, because December 31st is a new release week. Our new release day this year. So we probably won't do the Batastic Awards until into January, but you'll see all of our favorite books of the year when we do that, and we'll be joined by a special guest, cartoonist Anthony Pizzo, for that show. But yeah, it was fun to be on Near Mint show today and get to get a head start on talking about some of the comics that I loved this year, as well as comics that so many other people loved. It was great to hear what everybody was digging this year. Coming up this week, we actually have a lot going on again. This Thursday night is Creator Meetup, which is always a fun time if you are a creator of any kind, or if you want to get into making your own comics and things like that. Come out, hang out with us. It's always fun to see what people are working on, and also to get some feedback and some time with people to actually look at like what your projects are. And then Saturday morning, we have one comic creation workshop at 11:30. And then at 5 p.m. on Saturday, the 20th, we actually will be joined by the one and only Santa Claus. Santa and Mrs. Claus will be coming out from 5 to 9 p.m. this Saturday to really kick off that Christmas week right before Santa's got his big day. But it is a part of our Old Manatee Historic District's Candlelight Stroll. It's the thing we do every year with all the businesses in our neighborhood. It's so much fun. They're going to be roasting chestnuts across the street outside at Central Cafe. There's going to be some delicious desserts and things available at Vernona. Vintage Vine has some fun stuff coming your way. I believe Ken Spoke is going to have some really cool things. And you know, so many more. I think 29 Palms is going to have something. The tattoo shop will have, not only will we have Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus here, we'll have some kid crafts and maybe a couple other surprises that we'll be posting about this week. So keep that in mind. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. a free fun night for the family. You know, school ends this week for the holiday season. It's a great way to just like kind of kick off that family celebration right before the Christmas holiday. And yeah, so that's coming up. We'll be dropping our January calendar soon, but if you don't remember January, there's a really big event that you can join us on, which is January 30th through February 3rd. It is the Comic-Con The Cruise. It is year 2. It's going to be awesome. You can actually go online if you book your tickets for that cruise. You can actually use code BATCITY and save $200 on your tickets for the cruise, and it is the most fun. It is one of the things that was the highlights of my year this year, and it was the highlight of one of Matt's highlights as well. It was just an absolute blast, and we're going to be there selling comics and books and doing some presentations and some fun things. Plus, we're going to be hanging out all week long on that cruise. It's cool because this year it's a Friday through a Tuesday, so you don't even have to take off a lot of days of work if you are somebody who doesn't work on the weekends, and so you can actually get out there and have some fun. Speaking of fun, we're going to have some fun tonight as we talk about comics that came out this week. And so I'm going to take one more drink of the wine, and then I'm going to kick this off. We are going to start it out with I Hate Fairyland issue 46 from Image Comics. I love to see indie books just like live on forever, and this is definitely one that Scotty Young is like, however long I can keep this going, I am absolutely going to do that. I know he said he moved to legacy numbers because he wanted to see that number 50 on there, and rightfully so. If you don't know I Hate Fairyland, it is the story of Gert, who is originally a young girl who gets whisked away to Fairyland, where she's supposed to just find a magical key that'll take her back to home after a fun little adventure. Of course, Gert can't actually do that because she's not the brightest crayon in the box, and she finds herself stuck in Fairyland, aging up, but never actually growing up. And so she is now near 40 and in the body of a 7-year-old. She did actually at one point get a fun time to get to go back to the human world. Then she decided that, you know, it didn't really compete with the fun of trashing and dashing in Fairyland. These stories recently have given us just some one-off adventures of Gert now that she's back in Fairyland and actually enjoying it. And in this issue, she decides, after reading Frankenstein, that it's a beautiful story with a great idea of how she should create her own monster to be best friends with. And so she decides that's exactly what she's going to do, except for there's a problem. When Gert actually builds her monster, it's actually emotional and caring and loving and all the things that Gert hates. And so now she has to figure out what exactly she's going to do about this monster that she doesn't want to be friends with. And what Gert does and where it leads us for the next issue are just, it's always a fun time. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures, issue 31 from IDW. These are your issues that kind of reflect watching the TV show. It's like getting new episodes of the classic 90s cartoon. And in the last issue, we were left off with Mutagen Man. Is struggling. He suddenly sees himself actually converting people again, and now that he's back and his power is back, Shredder is after that for himself, so he can can make an evil army. The Turtles went to fight him and stop them from stealing him in the last issue, which resulted in Michelangelo being mutated. And now in this issue, they're having to fight, and there is a big giant battle between not only a mutated Michelangelo, but a mutated Shredder. And where this fight goes, it just gets wild and crazy. And of course, Donatello's got to think of some really logical ways to solve this problem really fast. This is all part of our ways towards the pantheon of evil villains trying to take over the city and to figure out who can destroy the Ninja Turtles. Nobody's been able to do it yet, because you know what? You're not going to beat the Turtles. You're just not. Deal with it. We've got Transformers issue 27 from Image Comics, Skybound, and Your Inner John universe, which is the world of G.I. Joe and Transformers crossing over. And we are seeing that quite a lot in this new arc, which is being written by Robert Kirkman himself. As you know, with Transformers, this has been all about, the big giant robots coming to Earth and their war for their own planet of Cybertron, kind of falling into our world. Humans are in danger. The government and the military don't like that. So, of course, the G.I. Joes are after them and trying to figure it out. We've seen Commander Flag trying to force the Ninja Turtles, not Ninja Turtles, the Transformers, so many cartoons, trying to force the Transformers to work with the military and to say, like, hey, I can give you all the energon you need, and I can get you the help that you need to get your people back to your planet, but in order for you to do that, you're going to have to do, follow what we want and jump through some hoops. But one of the things I'm loving the most about this arc that Kirkman is bringing to the table is that he is really having that conversation of since they are all Cybertronians, can the Decepticons have their mind changed back to fall in line with the hope and peace of the Autobots? And we've seen a couple who have done just that, but is it trustworthy? Is there more to it? Can all of the Decepticons be that way? And will Optimus stay true to his, I'm not here to hurt fellow, Cybertronians, or will he realize that some battles ended people getting hurt? We've got Witchblade, issue 17 from Image and the Top Cow imprint. This is really such a fantastic arc for Witchblade. If you don't know, they relaunched this last year, and it kind of started with a new version of the origin story, just showing Detective Sarah getting her getting the Witchblade. She's trying to take out all these corrupt cops, and she gets this ancient relic that turns her into this superhero of sorts, but it's a very dark superhero, and kind of leaves her feeling like she doesn't want it to control her as much as it seems to do. In this arc, some people have started dying in very mysterious ways, and we have figured out that there is something going on, a very dark, mysterious force that seems to be, in line with the Angelus, who is coming and supposed to be bringing this good, but is actually doing it at the expense of actually murdering all of these people. And the human that is being the host for that is really, really kind of losing it and kind of turning their mind. And in this, Sarah confronts them directly and gives them the opportunity to stop doing what they're doing. And also, Sarah has to kind of war with the fact that she doesn't necessarily believe that the people that are dying don't deserve to die. She just believes that in justice, you don't get to make the decision, and you have to kind of let people face that justice. And Sarah comes to terms with a lot of big issues in this issue. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 13 from IDW, and this is bringing us our new creative team. This is going to put Gene Luen Yang at the helm of writing. Freddie Williams II is going to be drawing this book for us, and so we are still taking on that same story that we were following, but it's going to look and feel a little different, and it's already kind of giving us a really great new twist on the story. But if you haven't read this Ninja Turtles run that we're seeing, the boys were separated at the end of Sophie Campbell's run and kind of all hated each other. And in the first arc of this, we saw Jason Aaron bringing the Turtles back together and them still having a lot of hatred for each other and having to learn what it meant to work together and to honestly to be a family again. And in this arc, in the last arc, they finished destroying, the the person in the government that was trying to keep them down. And now they are dealing with the fact that somebody is getting murdered. Somebody's going around and murdering people. And again, it's kind of like in Witchblade. It's like, well, these people aren't the good guys, and maybe they don't necessarily deserve to die, but maybe they also kind of do. And the turtles have very clear-cut beliefs in right or wrong. And so they're having to deal with the fact that this person is not necessarily somebody that they can trust, or is it, and that's kind of where we are in this issue. Is we've got this new character and we've got to figure out what exactly the turtles are going to do when they face it. And there's so much more in there, but it's all gigantic spoilers, so you got to just read it. We've got Minor Arcana issue 12 from Boom Studios. This is a great story that Jeff Lemire is building that really just deals with that family trauma in such an interesting, layered way. This is all about a woman named Teresa who finds out that her mom is dying of cancer. She has to return home to the small town that she purposefully ran away from. And when she gets there, because her mom isn't well, she has to take over running her mom's psychic business. Except Teresa doesn't believe in any of it until she's actually reading people's tarot cards and finds herself sucked into a mysterious alternate reality. And now Teresa is using that to kind of figure out a lot of different things, because there is a missing persons case with a woman that Teresa has always had a strong connection and feelings for, and she's trying to help this girl figure that out. Meanwhile, she's also having visions of her own grandfather coming and haunting her, and there's something to it. There's definitely a dark, mysterious force at work in this town, and the more Teresa uses her abilities to see anything, the stronger that dark force gets, and she is definitely finding herself in a lot of danger she's not prepared for. Blood and Thunder, issue 8 from Image and the Skybound imprint. This story is really taking off in this arc. We kind of saw the beginning of it was like more of our action movie leading into this that's kind of starting to build out the world even more. But this follows Officer Bledsoe, who is not actually an officer, but really, really wants to be. Her father was one when he was alive, and now she is trying so hard to get into this police force on this alien planet. And she's doing all of this work as a bounty hunter, essentially, with the gun that her father used to use, which has an AI unit in it that allows her to talk to it. So she gets one of those talking weapons for fun. Well, she was recently supposed to be taking out a bad guy and the monster that he was chasing, who everybody was meant to believe was the bad guy. And so in the process of doing that, she found out that the man behind all of the problems has gotten a robot woman pregnant, and she is trying to keep that woman safe away from her. And they've ended up in a secret place. And now in this secret place, we're actually seeing that there's a lot of people whose lives have been disrupted by what these humans are doing to these alien planets. And they are all ready to work together to fight back against this darkness. And she is definitely learning a lot more about the lore of this world. And so are we, which is really interesting to see, because it just kind of gets bigger and bigger with every story. We've got Assorted Crisis Events, issue 7 from Image Comics. This is one of my favorite book series of the year. I'm really, really excited to gush about this a lot in the coming days. But this new issue is just another fantastic example of that. Assorted Crisis Events is an anthology issue that kind of does similar to what Ice Cream Man does, while looking at the existential reality of what it means to be human. But instead of using horror to do it, they use sci-fi elements. And so essentially we are supposed to believe that there is a world of crises that are happening that are just impacting people in different ways, which is in fact reality. And in this issue, we see a man who just seems to have little dead bodies of himself pop up constantly, and he's not really sure why these corpses are finding him and why they're popping up and where they're coming from and how they were killed. He's not really sure how any of that works out, but he is sure about the fact that it's absolutely positively ruining his life. And so Tom Proper, as we'll call him, has to figure out a way to deal with all of these bodies, and he keeps trying to call for help, and nobody wants to help him. They just want him to stop having an unsightly problem in their space, which is a a great conversation on how sometimes when we do have a crisis and we reach out for help, we feel like everybody is just more offended that we have a crisis than they are willing to actually help. And it's really great to see Tom kind of go through all of that as the story unfolds. We've got Free Planet issue 7 from Image Comics. This is such a big world of a story. If you haven't read it yet, this is all about a universe where a planet has come together and figured out how to create this alliance that creates, a utopia essentially of freedom, a planet where every nation on it is actually free. And there's a group of people who are kind of the council that runs this planet, and we keep seeing them kind of build different alliances and try to go out and do different things. This is part of a 2-part arc called Expansion Protocols, and in it we are learning about a different planet that is a member of the alliance, which is kind of the people who don't really believe that all of this expansion and freedom is working. And we see how they went through war and tragedy and, constant ruling and different leaderships and things of that nature, and like their goddess experiences, and how like religion ran the world at one point, and then more violence, and then the introduction of peace and how that could work for them, and just the way that like it, the concept of peace is different for everybody, and how these people like immediately are like, well, we need somebody to rule. We need somebody to kind of oversee. Like, you can't just have a utopia, because you need to, make sure that people are working in different things. And we see a little bit of how that starts to blow up and expand. And we're going to see, of course, how that connects to our people on our planet of freedom as the story continues to connect back. I am going to take another drink before we jump into the next round. I expected it to be more spicy by now, but it's just opening up just like little by little.
Mine has a little bit of spice.
It's a little bit, but not like a heavy Tempranillo spice. I'm really curious if it's going to settle in that zone, or if it's going to grow like to be even spicier as we go. It's kind of why I wanted to taste it now, because I feel like with Tempranillos, you can taste it like along the way and see it really open. We've got the wrap up of Look Into My Eyes with issue 5 from Mad Cave. This is all about a group of people, teenagers specifically, who all end up kind of obsessed with this same social media that's run by a corporation. It comes to their town, and they all get in on it. And as soon as they do, we start to see some things happening. And one of the girls who was friends with our main character, RJ, before the story started has been murdered, or is, at least found dead. And they're trying to figure out what happened. And while they're looking into it, RJ starts exploring all of this on their own zine that they run on the internet. And as they're putting all these things together, these mysterious monsters start arriving in town, and people start turning into them, and bad things kind of start happening. And we've seen little bits and pieces of how this corporation behind the social media app is kind of in charge of that. It's very similar to like an It Follows kind of situation, but instead of it necessarily being like an STD, it's kind of more like how the impact of social media like follows young people, and they can't get away from it, and the dangers that they face from people, reading everything that they're doing and knowing where they're going. And you see a lot of that in this story. This is the final act, so we do get to learn a lot about the connections between all the characters that we haven't known just yet, and there's some big reveals on what the corporation is doing and how this all connects back to this. And I do love that this also has, and let me see if I can find a page that's got one on there. I think I just saw one. Yeah, here's one. One of the cool things that this book does is it has QR codes, and when you scan the QR code while you're reading the story, it can take you to, like, if they're like, oh, we need to check so-and-so's social media, you can like scan the QR code and it'll show you that person's social media, and you can kind of scroll through it and do different things on it. It also lets you use the app. The QR code also takes you to like RJ's zine, so you can see what additional stuff RJ has uncovered and things like that. So it's really cool to have like this multimedia element to the comic about multimedia. It Killed Everyone But Me, issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is such a good one if you are a fan of something like Something is Killing the Children, or any of those like darker stories. If you're a fan of Cabin in the Woods, they make so many references to it, because this is a story about a woman who, when she was a teenager, her and her friends rented a cabin in the woods, and while they were there, there was a demon who showed up and slaughtered everyone in this cabin. And she is like the lone survivor, and she has dealt with this grief and this demon for a long time. And now we are seeing that demon attacking again, and people are starting to wonder like what is happening. And so she goes in with the person investigating and actually is like, hey, I have that demon locked up. It is not that demon, but there is something else going on. And so now she has to kind of team up with the demon that killed all of her friends to get the information she needs in order to stop this problem from happening. And I love the way that they staggered this book between flashbacks of what happened. Like, we've still never fully seen the slaughter of the cabin. We just know that it happened. And I love that we keep bouncing back and forth between the two. And it's like, oh, when are we going to find out like what line she crossed that made her the final girl? Because it's coming. There's something for sure. And we've got one issue left, and I can't wait to see how Ryan Parrott ends the whole thing. Bullet Adventures, number 4, from that new publisher that I can never find their name on the Altruist. Altruist Comics. I'm really enjoying this comic a lot. It's a really great superhero story, but also a family story all at the same time. In issue 1, we met a superhero called the Bullet, and he was a speedster. And he had this problem where every time he used to speed, he kind of aged really fast, and he felt like everything was kind of coming to an end. We got to see him get to his like old age and kind of feel like he missed his whole life. And then one day he gets a message from a friend who's like, hey, you have to go back in time. You have to be a part of this situation. And he goes back in time, and he's a teenager. Then issue 2 started in that, or goes forward in time, not back in time. Maybe it's back in time. Time travel's confusing. Anyway, he goes forward but ends up younger when he actually goes to the time when his granddaughter is now the speedster that he that is running out of the same area and is running the world as this superhero. But she's new to the game, and she's kind of struggling with a lot of the things. She doesn't even have like a name. She hasn't figured out how to deal with her family and her friends yet, even though her family knows that she's a superhero because her grandfather was the same one. Anyway, in this issue, we see them actually, since he's young himself, they're now working together, not only as partners and speedsters, but also just to kind of be friends and experience this young life together. In this issue, they are faced with a bad guy who is called the Influencer, who it kind of traps everybody through social media and AI, and he's not prepared for how to deal with social media because he is a 70-year-old man trapped inside of a teenager's body, and he's never experienced any of this Gen Z life and everything. And so she has to try to figure out how to help her grandfather survive, very similar to like Captain America in the Marvel movies, trying to deal with all the modern stuff that he's not prepared for. But it's really, really cute as he also tries to help her. And we figure out in this issue, we get some big reveals towards who our ultimate villains may be, and I am so excited to read more of that story. Street Sharks, issue 3 from IDW. If you are a fan of Ninja Turtles and you didn't get into Street Sharks when you were a kid, when the Street Sharks and Turtles were all happening at the same time, now's your chance. And this is, unlike the Ninja Turtles comic, which is very episodic, this is actually an ongoing story for the Street Sharks. And in it, they are dealing with the fact that there is a mysterious dark force at work who is trying to mutate other people and build his own army of evildoers who are mutated animals. And he is doing that at the expense of people in the area that the Street Sharks live. And so they are actually, in this issue, they go to the university that they kind of have their lab near, and they get to go out and actually be a part of things because it's Spirit Week and everybody is dressing up like aquatic animals anyway. And so they get to go out and be a part of it as they try to stop stop the bad guys who they believe are going to be poisoning the water of the football team to try to get their new mutant army going. But there's some twists and turns in this battle, and the Street Sharks learned that there is more at work here than they were prepared for. And they're going to have to learn to approach things a little differently, but at least the people are starting to seem to like them, which is a huge plus in their books. We've got Death to Pachuco, issue 3 from Image and the Top Cow imprint. This is another really great crime story. If you are a fan of like good Asian, this is going to give you a lot of the same kind of vibes and feelings. This is all about a murder that happened in the I believe it's 1940s. It may be earlier than that. But they are trying to figure out who killed this man, and a woman has been framed for the murder. And she is currently in prison, and so they end up bringing in a detective, a private investigator, to kind of help figure out who the actual killer is. And of course, he is getting all kinds of twisted and turned up into the problems of this family. He's starting to have some feelings for the sister, who is definitely shadier than she's letting on. He's getting really connected to the mom and the experiences that they're going through. But he's also, this is a time when being Latin was really dangerous, and so he believes that a lot of this is actually just being pinpointed on them for the racism of it all. But unfortunately, he's having the biggest struggle because the woman who is imprisoned doesn't actually want to fight it, because she believes that something bad will happen to her family if she does. And so we are seeing all kinds of different layers. We're also seeing a couple of different pieces of the puzzle where we're getting to see some of the villains and some of the other people in the community and how that actually is impacting the things he's trying to do for his investigation. We've got Terminator Metal, issue 3 from Dynamite. The Terminator universe is just all over the place at Dynamite right now in such a great way. If you are a fan of Terminator at all, this is the best time to be a Terminator fan, because there's just so many books going on. And this is actually putting us, what would it be like if the Terminators had gone back to the Old West? We're getting to see some of those, and in this issue we see a Terminator who wakes up from stasis in the Old West, and there's been some issues in a town, and he shows up, and everybody believes him to be this outlaw that they are supposed to be stopping, and the town tries to take him out. One of the things I love about this the most, though, is actually that this Terminator, we always see them at full capacity, and when this Terminator awakens from his stasis, he's only at like 12%, and everything he does kind of knocks him down a little bit more and a little bit more. And so as he's trying to get through and fight against all these people, he's also losing all this power. And so it's cool to kind of see that side of it, especially because it is in the Old West, and you just get a fun little what would happen in that experience kind of thing with a Terminator in the Old West, and what would he do, and why is he back there, and who is he looking for? And so many questions that just make this whole show, or the whole story, like just a lot of fun. We've got Ziki, number 3 from SHP and their kids imprint. This is such a fun story. Like, it's just that classic kid adventure kind of story, very like more comic version of something like a Calvin and Hobbes, because this is about Ziki, who is a little boy that believes that he has the ability to travel to a magical world and fights in that magical world against bad guys who can work with the Rat King. And in issue 2, we find Ziki in the other world, who grows up and is kind of like a manga anime kind of hero whenever he's in that other world. And when he's in that world, his evil version of himself gets a chance to tie him up and capture him, and the evil version goes to the human world and leaves Ziki behind. And so in this issue, Ziki's trying to figure out how to break free and how to get back, because evil him is making a mess of his life in the real world. And of course, all of his parents are in danger, and his brothers and sisters. But he has to befriend a rat, which is something he's been told to never trust in this imaginary world. And he's got like this great little friend, and I love seeing them come together. But we do get to see a lot of big adventure. I love that the art style shifts between the two worlds so you can tell which side you're on, and kind of gives us, I love that his age shifts as well between the two worlds. It's such a fun story and a great one for all ages. Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2 from IDW and Nickelodeon. This is your new Ninja Turtles that you've got going on from the Mutant Mayhem movie. This is them getting their own series of stories, and because they are actually like young kids in that Mutant Mayhem, we actually get to see them being young kids in this. And in this story, they are at a summer camp. And at the beginning, Donatello is telling us a story about what went wrong during this summer camp experience, and issue 2 kind of picks up where issue 1 left off with that, where he has created his own robots, and he is working against some other kids who are at this science camp who also created robots. And in this one, they are supposed to be going on a challenge quest to do something, but there is something dark and dangerous going on with the camp counselors. They are part of some kind of secret league, and they are after Donatello specifically. And in this issue, we do get to see them start to expose themselves and the evil doings that they have. And Donatello, as he's telling this story, is trying to get his brothers excited about it. And of course, he kind of teases a little bit more fun. But it's just nice to get to see Donatello get the spotlight. But also, if you love that movie, it's nice to have some more fun with that turtle group that we saw in that story. Not episodic. This one is ongoing. So unlike the Saturday morning adventures, this is like one story with that group. So don't just jump in anywhere. Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time, issue 2. This is from Dark Horse and our Hellboy universe. If you didn't catch issue 1, issue 2 picks up like perfectly where it left off, because these little miniseries are usually only like 2 to 3 issues. And this had us going into this mysterious place and realizing we needed to find Captain Henry, who is lost to time in this. And in this issue, we do see our new arrival is kind of making his way through the time sphere and trying to figure out what's going on with Captain Henry. And we get to learn all about Captain Henry's really cool time machine that he has, and how he's a member of the Secret Society of the Ether, and how they are able to time travel, and how they've been building all this stuff. But we also learn that this world that we're in at this moment is the Graveyard of Time, and so it's filled with time travelers and all of their time traveling machines. And also, kind of because nobody could ever get out of there, people all are just, they live there until they die. Something is sucking the power away from time machines when it gets there. And so this new arrival and Captain Henry are going to have to figure out how to stop whatever it is that's sucking away that time power, and also to figure out how to get themselves from this world before it is too late. Mike Mignola gets the story credit, but this one's actually Bruce Zick that's doing this. And so I always want to point out, because every once in a while you do get like an actual Mignola story. We've got The Beauty, issue 2 from Ignition Press. If you don't know, The Beauty is about to be a TV show. I believe we just had like some teasers or something that dropped this week. And we've had a previous volume of The Beauty before, and this is kind of picking up we're like in a new story in that world, but it does not, if you didn't read the previous Beauty, you can definitely jump in, because they do a great job of telling you. Basically, the Beauty is a sexually transmitted disease that spreads throughout humanity, and anybody who gets it gets the power to actually be beautiful. And that's kind of what it does for you, except this disease, like, people are like, and so people are trying to get it. And we saw in issue 1 a man who is a weatherman who feels like the reason that the other weatherman has higher ratings and the reason people like him more is because he's got the beauty, and so therefore he's got more of that charm to it. And so he is trying to get the beauty, and he goes to an old friend, and now there is a murder mystery that is going to go into all of that. Meanwhile, we've got some other characters who are dealing with their own situations regarding the beauty. We're seeing, like 5 or 6 different stories line up here, and it's definitely going to, take us down some twists and turns. It's great for this crime, like different stories and people, who are like trying to stop people from killing people, people who are killing people, people who just want the beauty for the fame and the fortune. There's so much going on here, and again, if you're interested in the idea of the show, I would definitely recommend at least checking out this new volume and, you know, seeing if it's the thing for you. Circus Maximus issue 2 from Mad Cave. This is what if there was a heist in ancient Rome at the time when like Nero was burning all of Rome. And so we're seeing a group of people, one who's a Vestal Virgin, one who is a person who works in a house as just like a local enslaved person, and then a guy who is a part of the chariot races in the arena, and they've come together and they are determined that they're going to rob like the royal vault of all this money during one of the big gladiator game situations, and it's supposed to be chariot races, and unfortunately for our chariot driver, who is our getaway man, he gets sucked into those fights, those races, whether he wants to or not. And meanwhile, while he's having that problem, we see some other people who have come and are like, hey, you work for us, like you know, we're going to take you back. The fires are spreading. We need you to go out there and actually fight these fires and do your best to stop that. And so everything that they're trying to work on and how they're like trying to get their money and just run, it's kind of getting pushed further and further back. And the quest just gets mixed up and a mess in this. And meanwhile, again, all of Rome is burning. So they kind of have to hurry if they're going to get this done. We've got HasCon issue 2, and this is from another also new comic publisher that I don't know the name of, Bravo Blast Entertainment. It was on the back the whole time. This is a story about a world where essentially, in order to kind of like fight aliens and deal with everything coming forward in the future in the space of it all, we kind of take humans and start experimenting on them and creating these super heroic kind of creatures, but they come out looking like alien monsters. The one guy that they have in here kind of looks like the Incredible Hulk, but if he was purple. And then what happens is that other humans don't know that they're on the good side. And so what we see with this story is our guy who was experimented on and changed into this creature in the first issue is kind of trying to just get himself to safety, and nobody knows, like they're attacking him because they think he is this monster, and he's like, I'm human, and the humans don't realize that, and so they capture him and they're like, we're going to have to get rid of this monster. And we kind of see a little bit about why humanity is so afraid of these aliens and all the different things in this issue, because we do get a little flashback to some of the space missions that led to this experimentation, and starting to actually like build out this world. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen to him and if he is going to get a chance to go after some of those scientists who experimented on him as the story unfolds. Speaking of science going a little crazy, we've got Synthetics issue 2 from Dark Horse. This is J. Michael Straczynski's newest story, and he's kind of building a really big world in a 4-issue mini, which is really cool. But in this world, we've kind of gotten to the point where we've destroyed a lot of the earth, and there's what they call dead zones now. And the dead zones are just, everything is dying in them, including like the people, the land, everything. Nobody can live there. And those dead zones are starting to spread further and further. And so scientists have kind of started to do experiments to see if there's ways to not only fix the dead zones, but also maybe just to help humanity evolve. But there's been a lot of course, restrictions placed on that, because we don't want to see people get too far, and go too crazy. But it turns out that a lot of scientists don't really care about those regulations, and they are working to create human mind capacity and memories, and they're starting to build these brain cells that they can put into these synthetic humans that they're building, all against the government's approval. And we've got some police officers who are investigating some situations that are going on and are kind of all twisted up in this now. It is definitely a lot. I have no idea how they're going to tell this whole story in 4 issues, but it does say it's volume 1. So chances are we're going to get a massive cliffhanger soon and be stuck doing it. It definitely feels a lot like the strength of like the sci-fi like action blend that he was building in the Resistance universe, but there's even more to this for sure. We've got Miss Truesdale and the Rise of Man, #1, also from Dark Horse in our Hellboy universe. I love Miss Truesdale stories. I think she's such a cool character from this Hellboy universe. She is, you know, this ancient woman who's been a warrior and a priestess and all kinds of things that just keeps I wanted to say reanimating, but that's not, like respawning as a different person over the course of time. And in this issue, she is actually talking to a ghost named William as she is trying to learn about the story of the beginning of so many things, like the mankind, of like the angels falling, and what did the angels that fell, where did they go, and how did they impact this course of man, and what became of them. Honestly, the coolest part of this is Jesse Lonergan is on art, and so you get some really cool paneling and just like a completely different way of telling this story, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we do get to see how some of these angels kind of became certain, like, oh, this one became like the tree people of the forest, and this one kind of merged into this, and mankind kind of started to form from there, but of course didn't do well with what they were given. And we get to see Miss Truesdale in some of these ancient points and what she actually did. It's such a cool story, and I just love Jesse Lonergan's art, and the way it plays into this story works really well as a flow of the Rise of Man. And this one is actually, and the reason I pointed that out earlier is this one is actually written by Mike Mignola. And so you're going to have Mike on the story and Jesse Lonergan on art, and so it's really, really cool. If again, I always say this when these come out, but if you're like, oh, I kind of like the Hellboy universe, but I feel like there's so much and I don't know what to do to get into it, going to these little mini-series is a really great way to kind of get to know like who in the Hellboy world is who and what you might like from them. The Darkness returned. This is issue 1 from Image Topcal. If you've been reading Witchblade, you knew this was coming, because he's actually been in Witchblade almost the entire time, and we've been seeing the rise of his return. This is going to give you a little bit more of your, like, in the way that Witchblade feels a lot of it feels a little bit more like modernized and a new retelling. This is actually going to feel very similar, a little more similar, because Mark Silvestri is actually writing this story. So your co-creator of The Darkness in the first place. But this is the story of Jackie. I always say his name wrong if I'm not looking at it. If I can find it, Jackie Estacado, who is a mafia hitman. His uncle is one of the main guys in one of the mafia families, and Jackie is kind of forced to deal with all of the outfalling of everything, all the bad decision his uncle's making. And his uncle is making a lot. He is turning down people left and right and kind of ticking them off. And in it, like, Jackie is like, hey, you need to stop. You need to stop doing this. You're kind of making everybody mad. And he's like, but I mean, I guess I just have to take care of it. It is Jackie's 21st birthday, and on his 21st birthday, the darkness is supposed to consume him. Something he knows absolutely nothing about, but it seems like everybody else in this town seems to know that it is going to happen. And so he's got a lot of people following him from different sides, good and evil, that are trying to stop this darkness or allow this darkness to consume him. Meanwhile, he's also starting to see the little darkness goblins, is what I'm going to call them, that are feeding him the information he needs. Jackie is not prepared for anything, but he is especially not prepared for the fact that his family is about to face a big fall. And while he is dealing with the fall of that, he is also dealing with the rise of this evil inside of him. And where is it going to take him, and how that crosses over with Witchblade is where this story's going to go. It's a nice little double-sized issue, though. So if you miss the darkness, it's definitely you're getting a lot of bang for your buck on that. Defenders of the Earth, Dark Destiny, Part 1 from Mad Cave. This picks up where the previous Defenders of the Earth series from Mad Cave left off, but it does do a nice recap, so if you didn't catch that previous mini-series, you've got a chance to do that now. Basically, this is Flash Gordon, Mandrake, the Great, the Phantom, and one of the other characters. What is his name? LJ, I believe, or is that his son? I always get it wrong, and I always get the son's name. Anyway, they're all the Defenders of the Earth, and they were working really hard to actually help Flash get out of the mind control that was put on him by Ming and others. And unfortunately for them, Flash Gordon did destroy everything on Mongo in the process of being mind controlled, and then harbored the very villains that they hated that caused these problems. And so now, when trying to figure out how to save his beloved Dale, him and the Defenders go off to this planet where everybody hates him, and now they are immediately captured. And it seems like every twist and turn where they start to get a chance to get free from this, somebody else hates Flash Gordon and is after him. Meanwhile, at the same time, all of their kids are actually working to do the same thing but on Earth, and are trying to figure out if maybe Dale is somehow there on Earth, because her signal is giving 2 different planets, and so they are trying to figure it out. A fun adventure. If you are fans of any of these characters, it's great to see them all working together, but it's just fun to have some nice pulpy superhero stories. We've got Shiver Suspense Stories. This is Volume 2, Number 1. This is the EC Horror Christmas Story, and this is the second one because we had one last year. And in it, we've got a bunch of stories that just kind of, fill the wintry air with lots of horror. And in the first one, we've got 8 Vengeful Nights, which is all about a kid who's constantly bullied at school, and over the course of Hanukkah, he is given a different present from a mysterious force that helps him deal with the bullies in the exact way he needs to do that. And there's some great, of course, twists and turns in there. The second story is called Mistletoe, and it's all about a guy in a bar that is telling the story of the mistletoe killer who will kill any woman who doesn't kiss him under mistletoe, and whenever he sees them at bars. And the woman who in the bar just absolutely thinks that his story is full of crap, and the way that plays out, that nice little conversation between them. Then we get a story about a woman who is absolutely fed up with everybody else in her apartment building and how they just seem to ruin the season. And all she wants to do is make Christmas cookies and be happy. And if they're not going to let her do that, then she's going to take matters into her own hands and, kill them with a little bit of holiday cheer, maybe. And then we get a story about a Santa Claus at the mall who gets locked into the mall after a long day of taking pictures and thinks that his big payout has come. And maybe it has, but not in the way that he assumes it will. And then I think do we have one more? Oh, yes. And then we have one more story, which is actually, they have been republishing stories from original EC books, and this is from Crime Suspense Stories issue 12, and it came out in 1952, and it's called The Execution. And so if you want to get to read some of those old EC stories that are hard to get your hands on now, it's one of the things to check in the back of the EC anthologies, is they try to print one every once in a while to just give you a good story. Keeping the Christmas spirit alive, we've got Zor number 1 from Keenspot. Zor is one of the most adorable things. If you didn't read the original Zor story, it's all about a little girl whose mom passes away, and she drops the gift, the ring from her mom, down the drain, and her teardrop falls into the drain and comes to life and goes on a magical adventure to try to save the ring and get the girl her cheer and happiness back. In this story, her dad and her have decided that they are going to celebrate the holiday that her mom loves so much, as if she was still there. And when they go to meet Santa at the mall, you have to have a ticket, and her ticket falls out of her pocket and gets lost in the mall. And she feels like she's not going to get to see Santa, and everything is going to be awful. And in the process of crying over her lost ticket, Zor comes to life again, and he goes on an adventure through the mall to save the ticket and save Christmas, and it is so cute. If you didn't read it, this is a one-shot. It's adorable. If you want something cute that you can read to kids for Christmas, this is absolutely a great one. And if you're looking for something to animate, you guys make a Zor cute, adorable thing because he's so cute. I love him. And then we've got our Soot-Stained Heart #1 from Mad Cave. This is the start of a huge series, it feels like. I mean, it's Mad Cave. It's going to be a 4 or 5 issue miniseries, but there's just so much to this world that they're building. It is all about a steampunk world where they have this fuel day, and on this fuel day, they have this opportunity for they feel like that's their opportunity essentially for a rebellion and revolution against this evil like ruler who is just absolutely like the epitome of all things terrible. And he's literally like, he looks like the what's the opposite of the heat miser? What's the cold one in the Christmas movies? It's like the heat miser and it's not the cold miser. Is it Mr. White Christmas? That's the name of the song. Anyway, somebody will tell us. But he kind of looks like that, but like an evil, like jacked up version that you would put into some kind of like adult version. Snow Miser. He kind of looks like a big giant supervillain version of Snow Miser, and he absolutely requires everybody to do the most work to raise coal, and they have these quotas that they have to hit, but they don't get any of the coal, and they don't get any money, and they don't get any of the stuff, and it's just this like really like dark kind of industrial revolution kind of story where people are just forced to work in these coal mines. So you can see he's kind of like an evil giant villain adult version of Snow Miser. And so there's this one girl who is the only one who like seems to not get like killed or destroyed or even disheartened by the fact that she doesn't make her quota like so many other people seem to do, and she gets fired from her job, and the revolution takes that as their chance to kind of bring her in because she's still good, and her goodness might be the very thing that can save them. And so they bring her onto the team, and they send her on this adventure, and it's going to be a big giant journey for her as they are chasing her down as she goes towards the north and the possible end of the world. There's so much there. It's called a steampunk Santa story. It kind of feels a little like it almost doesn't even necessarily feel like so steampunk, like that you can't get into it if you don't like it. Like so, it kind of feels industrial revolution, like revolution in the industrial revolution age. But it's definitely going to be a big story, and I can't wait to see how she takes it on and how good she's able to stay through the whole thing. All right, before we go to picks of the week, I'm going to take another drink of the wine. We are drinking La Enferma, which is the nurse. It is a Tempranillo from the Toro region. Oh, now it's spicy. Oh, I like that kick, though. That's a nice kick. Nice. Mm-hmm. Smooth, but then with the like kick on the end, I like it. Do you taste any other fruits? What are your fruits that you're tasting?
Blackcurrant.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Probably a little bit of blackberry.
Blackberry and blackcurrant. I can see that.
Cherry.
Of course, the cherry is still really strong.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Oak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There is pepper.
Black peppercorn.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so good, though.
Little cedar.
Ooh, do you taste cedar? All right.
Right? Smell cedar in your mind.
I don't want to because my nose is already itchy, and if I start thinking about cedar, I'm going to start sneezing just from thinking about it. So I'm like, I was going to take an allergy pill before the show. My nose was already so itchy. All right, we got 3 picks of the week. We're going to kick it off with Stake Presents Jessamine #3 from Amp Comics. I love how many people are loving this book after waiting so long for this to come out. I'm super excited to see that. We have so many people picking it up, but I've talked a little bit about this book. Jessamine is a vampire who is forced to work as essentially an enforcer for the Vampire Council. She's sent around to different places to take out vampires who are exposing the vampire world to the general public, or who are just violating like ethics laws of the vampire culture. And she has been brought to America at the time of enslavement to a plantation where some French vampires have been taking the enslaved people working for them and turning them into the blood that they are like selling off and also saving for themselves. And these vampires have already been ousted from France, and so they're already on like a watch list for being rule breakers. And Jessime comes to have a conversation with them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's totally fine. The French know that we're doing it. They're cool with it. Like our French council, and you're not our council. You're from England, so we don't have to listen to you. And Jessime is like, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll just leave. But also, before I do that, I'm going to start a revolution and maybe take out all of you. And it's awesome. If you haven't read it yet, this one definitely has like a big turn in there. It also is kind of possibly the end. It feels like the end of at least this story for Jessime. She does appear in Stake. I hope that we get more. If you're listening, and I know Francesca might be, we have so many readers who, if you took Jessime away from them now, would be distraught. So don't take her. We have so many people who are absolutely loving her and how cool she is, and we definitely could use some more Jessime stories for sure. We've got Crownsville issue 2 from Oni Press. Crownsville issue 1 was in my picks of the week, and number 2 is right here again. This is such a cool story that Rodney Barnes is bringing us. I'm so excited about it. It has such a Silent Hill kind of feel to it, while also just having some of that classic like haunted asylum kind of story in general. But this is all about a man who, his mom is passing away. He's a journalist, and when his mom is passing away, she tells him that she used to work for the local hospital, the local mental institution, and while working there, she was helping the doctors do experiments on young children of color. And she's like, I feel like I betrayed our people, and I have to say that to you as I'm going to die. And then like she literally dies, and he's like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And so he gets a homicide detective who is a friend of his, and they start investigating this facility. Meanwhile, there is the side story is that there is another man who recently took a job in doing security for this facility, and he is there on right after the previous security guard was found dead, and he starts hearing a lot of strange voices and things happening in this facility that he's watching. The paths are starting to cross, and things are getting creepy as the two start their own investigation into the facility and go in to the building, one of the buildings, and they start seeing things that might have happened there in the past, and that energy does not want to let it go. This book is creepy, it's dark, it's emotional, it's like poignant, it's got so much to say in such a cool way. As Rodney Barnes always says, if you didn't pick this book up, we're 2 issues in, both of them have been picks of the week. Read this story, it's so good, and it's great for anybody who's just looking for like that dark classic, like again, like, oh, there's a haunted asylum, like something happened to the children, they're lashing out. So, like, you've seen that story a lot, and Rodney is telling it in a really cool way that's just kind of bringing it to light in a new story. And then lastly, she's back, so it's back. Geiger issue 19 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprint. I even painted my nails to match this book because I love this issue so much. And we are seeing in this one the return of the glowing woman, Ashley Arden herself. And we've learned that Ashley has, unlike Geiger who is like, I don't want to have this power. And he goes around, and of course he does like save the day, but he's always trying to like get... like, he's trying to do it in, like, a positive way and not go crazy radiation. Ashley's like, I'm going to use my radiation and I'm going to mess some stuff up. And in this issue, she's actually going after a bunch of different people who she finds out are trafficking children through this apocalyptic wasteland. And Ashley's like, I'm not only going to stop them, but I'm going to teach the kids how to make sure that they can stop them themselves in the future. And so she actually, like, makes her own army of these children and teaches them how to defend themselves from all of this stuff that's happening. It's so great to see Ashley be like this strong, awesome, like kick butt woman, but also to kind of see her have that role, because we do see Tariq being so afraid of using his power, and she just like lays into it. Meanwhile, I'm not going to tell you about the moment in this book that made me scream and paint my nails green and be excited about it. I'm not going to tell you because it's a giant spoiler. So guess what? You have to read it. But I will tell you, I am so excited. I can't wait. Things we've been waiting to happen in Geiger and Ghost Machine universe are happening, and it's so good. And shout out to the Ghost Machine universe for just building something really cool that we are seeing so many people. I mean, even today when I was on the Near Mint podcast and people were talking about what was good this year, there's so much conversation about like what Ghost Machine is creating is great, and I love it. And I'm so excited to see this continue to blow up, no pun intended, but also way to bring Ashley back. She's the best. She's my favorite hero in the Geiger universe. All right, we got a bunch of other books in stock. We're gonna fly through them really fast. I'll save those covers for last because they're my favorites. We got Spirit of Violence issue 3 from Marvel, Marvel Knights Punisher issue 3, Pop Kill re-released issue 1 with a fun new cover. Same story inside, just a fun variant for the holiday season. And great because we needed a reprint of number 1 for people who wanted to get into it. Nova Centurion issue 2, Magic the Gathering, Untold Stories, Elspeth, number 2. We've got Unbreakable X-Men, number 3, Sinister Six, number 3, Long Shots, number 3, and Iron and Frost, number 3, out of your Age of Revelation. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 23. Superman, Action Comics, issue 1093. We are almost at 1100 issues. Oh my gosh. Supergirl number 8 for that new Sophie Campbell run. Han Solo, Hunt for the Falcon number 4. All new Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider issue 5. This is the end. Guys, stop making Spider-Gwen only 5 issues long. Everybody wants more Spider-Gwen. Give her more issues. Stop taking her away from us. Amazing Spider-Man issue 17. Deadly Tales of Gunslinger issue 11. Infernal Hulk issue 2. G.I. Joe Real American Hero issue 323. We've got Green Lantern issue 29. Our DCKO had Wonder Woman fighting Lobo this week. New Avengers number 7. Batman and Robin number 28. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, League for Justice issue 6. Bloodshot hit issue 3. And then I said I was saving them for last, so I will. We've got Star Trek Strange New Worlds, The Seeds of Salvation issue 4 with this beautiful Anson Mount cover. Man, that's great. And then Vampirella Armageddon issue 6. And of course, I love these Elias covers for Vampirella. Always got to show you that. And then we've got some trade paperbacks in. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate Collection Volume 7, which collects a whole bunch of issues. But it doesn't say which ones. So a bunch of them. We've got the Absolute Green Lantern Volume 1 trade paperback is out. This is issues 1 through 6 of Absolute Green Lantern. Blue Palo Verde. This is the whole series, all 5 issues of that crazy story about the cult and the woman getting trapped in it. Finally out, because Red 5 has found distribution in a new place, is Prometheus in Chains, which is a really great series that came out a couple years back from them, which is basically Victor and Elizabeth Frankenstein working on the Manhattan Project, and Elizabeth dying, and Victor trying to figure out how to bring her back. That it was wild. We've got Adventure Man Volume 2. This is the Fairy Tale in New York. This is issues 1 and 2. This is Adventure Man 6 through 9 and Ghostlights issues 1 and 2 from that Matt Fraction story. We've got Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, Volume 2. This is going to be issues 5 through 10 of Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. We've got You'll Do Bad Things. This is issues 1 through 6, all of the issues. This is a crazy, awesome story from Tyler Boss. I'm so excited. If you didn't read it yet, you definitely need to. And then we've got Thistlebone. This is book 1. And it looks really cool. This is a 2000 AD story, and it's about a secluded rural village that holds a dark past. The vast tracts of woodland hosted a cult that worshipped an ancient deity called the Thistlebone. And some crazy stuff went down. I'm really excited to read this. This is, it says on here that is Wicker Man and Midsummer like kind of situation. So I definitely know that I'm in. Probably going to read that tomorrow. And then lastly, I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer is out. This is the whole series. I'm so excited that people can finally read it. This is, if you are fans of plastic, plush, vinyl, what is the other one? What am I missing? I'm missing one.
Plastic, plush, vinyl.
I know, there's one more. I don't remember. Anyway, I don't remember now. If you haven't read it yet, you have to. This is one of I love this series. It was so good. This is about a girl who goes to fashion school. She's really excited. She wants to learn how to be a fashion designer, and so far she uses the skin and bones of the people that she kills, which are usually just men who treat women poorly. It's a great book. If you didn't read it, absolutely check it out. You can see that that's what she makes her clothes out of in this picture. So good. This is the whole series, and then while you're at it, make sure you read Vinyl, Plush, Plastic, all of them. So good. Okay, that's all the books that I have for you. Don't forget, Creator Meetup is this Thursday at 6:30, and Saturday, December 20th from 5 to 9 is the Old Man Tea Candlelight Stroll, which will include a visit from Santa and Mrs. Claus here at Bat City. Come get your pictures. You know what? It's free. I don't know how many places you get to take pictures with Santa for free anymore, but you can here. Bring your phone, bring your camera, bring whatever. It will help you get your pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus, as well as all kinds of fun things. And you know what? Something I didn't mention, and I do want to throw out there really fast, is that we will be open on Christmas Eve for regular hours, and starting at 6 o'clock that night, we are going to be having a potluck. So if you are in need of a place to go for Christmas, we will be open Christmas Eve. Our home is yours. Come celebrate the holiday with us and spend some time, just getting to know some people and have some fun. Bring a dish, bring a drink, bring a dessert, whatever. Christmas Eve from 6 to 9 p.m. Just come hang out. And you know what? If we don't see you then or anytime this week, we know the holidays are busy. We hope you have a happy holiday, and we hope that you have some happy reading. Have a good night, everyone.